So here I am, I'm going to make a short review about this golok that I bought from Gecko-shop.nl. I'll post the link below. First, a little bit about how it looks. There's some nice carvings on the hardwood sheath. You can see here the handle has, which expands towards the end, has a Garuda head. I didn't know that this was a Garuda head. The Garudas I've seen before have a really long beak. But I checked this with a very knowledgeable source, and he assured me that this is a Garuda, but post the coming of Islam, the Garudas tended to become smaller and more subtle because of the laws of iconography. But you can see it has some feathers here and stuff, so it's when you hear it or when you know it, it's maybe not that strange. You can also see that the grip isn't completely straight; it's a little bit bent, and I thought this was a little bit worrisome at the beginning, but actually it winds up being very ergonomic. Also, it is handmade, and this is probably pretty typical. I'm going to remove the sheath. This is the length of it. It's 37.5 centimeters. It's not very sharp, but for training purposes it's perfect, and it has a tapered edge, so you can pretty easily make it sharp if you want to. But for me, I'm going to use it for training, so I don't need it. There is a fuller here. I don't know if you can see it well. The fuller, I think that it is symbolic or decorative. The last part, if it's decorative, I think it's a little bit strange, because the fuller is too small to reduce the weight of the blade, and as I hope you all know, a fuller is there to reduce the weight of a blade, not to let blood flow out. That's a myth. But it's a little bit too small. If you look at it, it's a bit too small. It has it on both sides, but I think it's a bit too small to really reduce the weight in any substantial way. The balance of the blade is quite far from the grip. That is actually pretty good, because the golok is a machete. I'll talk a little bit about the golok as such. It's a very much a working man's weapon, or actually it's a tool. It's a weaponized tool at the best. It's something you'd use for clearing brush and working in the forest, and of course if some bad guys do turn up, you use it on them as well. But as a tool, it's not supposed to be too pretty. And you can see here, actually, they kept some of the hammer marks and stuff like this. I actually think that's pretty nice. You can even see it's straight, but it still has these bulges on it, and that's typical. I don't know. I asked about the specific steel in it from the producer, or from the shop I bought it in, Gecko-shop. They didn't know, because they bought it from somebody who hand carves them, or hand forges them. But traditionally it is spring steel, and not very fantastic, because it is a tool. It's something you don't want to. It's not supposed to be like a beautiful weapon, like a sword, because it isn't. It's a tool, so it's supposed to be cost efficient. So I actually think that's pretty okay. The expanding part you see here on the grip, it makes for a very good grip, and you know there isn't any cross guard on this, because originally it isn't a weapon. But sometimes you maybe want to have a cross guard here on more modern machetes. But actually the fact that it expands here makes it fall into the hand in a very nice way, and keeps you away from the edge. Now, a crossguard, there are very small crossguards even on weapons, on real swords in most of Southeast Asia, so that's not really strange. That's also why you see that when you see them used, they very often keep the arm and the weapon back, so that when you strike, you strike and you keep the hand back again. That's why you don't want to keep it. You don't want to like a saber. Want to keep it out there because there's nothing to protect your hand. And it's relatively big for being a golok, which is what I wanted because I prefer a longer blade. This, as I said, is 37.5. Most of the goloks I've seen, they're around 30 centimeters blade length. So 37.5 is pretty long. And this, yeah, I think it's pretty nice. I don't think the tang goes all the way. I think it stops somewhere around here. Here's one of the bolts that go through it, but I don't think it goes all the way down here. But it doesn't have to be. As long as the grip is good, it doesn't have to. And all in all, I like it. I'm happy with it. I bought this one for 50 euros, which I think is pretty reasonable price. And they delivered in just a few days. So I live in Sweden. This was ordered as I said, from Netherlands. I think it took about 4 days, and it was, or maybe it was, yeah, it was a weekend, so it took a little bit less. So as I said, pretty nice. Lends good wrist movement, which I didn't really understand until I started handling these. That the wrist movement is in part because of the way they are created, that they enhance the wrist movement because of the way it's. And it's pretty nice in the hand. I like it. As you see, it doesn't have a distal taper. If you look here, and it's and the point isn't very pointy, if you like, and that's because this is primarily a chopping weapon or chopping tool. I think this is pretty much as pointy as they get. I've seen those who have almost no point. Stabbing isn't the main feature of this weapon. So I don't know, I'm pretty happy with it. It's as I said, it's a working man's tool. It's something you'd bring with you to the forest, and if you meet some bandits on the way, you'd use it on them as well. Yeah, so that's it. This is the west-javanese or Sundanese golok from Gecko-shop. Thank you very much.